Now, one thing I love about our car audio industry is that we are always innovating. Now, one brand has certainly done a whole lot of that, and that is innovation. We're talking about Wavetech, who has specialized in OEM integration and now has certainly expanded their catalog to include amplifiers and a very innovative subwoofer. We've got their CTO on the deck today, Jason Kemmerer, joining us, and we're going to dive right into the latest and greatest from Wavetech. This is CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM, all about Wavetech, and it starts now. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu, and you are locked into CMA Networks, where we talk mobile electronics day in and day out. On the menu today is Wavetech. Have you heard about this brand? I'll tell you what, these guys non-stop coming up with new stuff that helps us enthusiasts get the right sound in our cars. Again, joining us today is Jason Kemmerer from Wavetech. Jason, welcome back to Connected. What are we going to be talking about on today's show?
Hey, Ben, great to be with you again. Looking forward to talking about some of our latest creations and innovations. We're going to be talking about the thinPRO 10 that's coming out soon, as well as the multi-channel amplifiers that we recently introduced, and a couple of new monos as well.
All right, Jay, looks like we've got a lot of new goodies to talk about. But first, an opportunity for our sponsor, SiriusXM, to remind you why it's an amazing add-on sale each and every time. And when we come back, we've got Jason from Wavetech, and we're talking new gear, so don't you dare go away.
Hey, Paul here with SiriusXM, and I'd like to talk to you about attachment selling and why the SiriusXM product is one of the best things to add, especially since we don't trade dollars with any other category. I could go through all of this, but let's hear what some of our dealers have to say.
It's an easy add-on that takes, 10, 15 minutes if we're running an antenna, 1 minute if we've got an adapter to plug it into the factory SiriusXM antenna, and it's extra money, so no brainer.
I present it to every customer because a lot of customers don't know what all they can do with Sirius. They don't know what all content they could have. It just makes too much sense not to sell it.
It creates a different customer loyalty and customer security when you explain to them why it's a better experience. Just gets them back in the door. And then the next car, they're already asking for it again. So it just keeps selling itself. It makes more sense.
Well, there you have it. You heard from our dealers. Just remember some of the best practices. Make sure you have one on display so you can demo it. Make sure you're taking advantage of our rewards program, because if you're not taking advantage of that, you're leaving even more money on the table. Make sure you got our POP up on display. And other than that, just make sure you're recommending it.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. Of course, joining me now is Jason Kemmerer from Wavetech. Jason, welcome back.
Thanks, Ben.
Listen, we've done this dance a couple of times, and just to see the evolution, right, of your brand, of your products here in the industry, coming up with innovative new solutions. I remember the first time you came on, I was learning all about, your active LOCs and the cool features you have, like Bass Freak and all that. And then all of a sudden you came in with amplifiers, and I was like, whoa, amplifiers, okay. And then next thing you know, you're doing this subwoofer thing. And the subwoofer thing wasn't just any subwoofer thing. It was a really serious subwoofer thing. Of course, we're going to get into. But just talk to us a little bit about, the evolution of your brand, because let's be honest, for those that don't know, Wavetech is not an army of engineers, right? You're not this huge company. You're a small boutique manufacturer that really specializes in doing something. So give us a little bit of insight into Wavetech.
Well, I mean, Wavetech is about 9 years old now, but our experience in product development goes back more than 3 decades. So we've done tons of stuff in our other careers for other brands, and now having our own company just gives us ultimate capability to do stuff we've wanted to do, or that is now possible to do. But yeah, we're a small team, and we stay focused. And originally, when we came to market, we were totally focused on revolutionizing OEM integration for audio, keeping the factory radio. And then over time, after we perfected that, we really wanted to do something totally unique in amplifiers, and we've done that, and we're continuing to expand on that line. And then the subwoofer thing, you can talk more about it later, but I spent a lot of time, years in development, 3 years in fact, to come up with a patent pending technology in the loudspeaker category. Is extremely difficult. We're talking over a century of technology, so it's really, really hard to come up with something totally new, and we've done that.
Oh, this is exciting. All right, guys. So if you're just tuning in, we're talking Wavetech, we're talking car audio, 3 different things we're going to talk about today, Jay. We're going to first start off with the big boy, which is the thinPRO. New announcement, new size. We're gonna let you talk about that. We're also gonna talk about some additions to the multi-channel amplifier line, as well as some cool additions to the mono amplifier line. So let's start with the thinPRO. This thing came on the scene. I was there when you launched it, and I was there sitting in the vehicle, and I could not believe the output I was getting. And when I saw the actual driver by itself, because when it's in the enclosure, you only see the facade. But when I actually saw the design, I'm like, huh? Absolute question mark. So great success with the introduction of the 12. I'm going to give you a chance to introduce the brand new thinPRO 10.
Right on, Ben. Yeah, thanks. Well, here it is. Here's the new one, the thinPRO 10. The 12 came out last year, and that was the one that you heard. And on 500 watts RMS in that show car we had in a small sealed 0.6 cubic foot sealed box, nobody could believe how low it played, how musical it was, how much output it had, and it was only 3 inches deep. But a 12 can't fit everywhere just because of the diameter of the cone and everything. So 10 obviously was the next step. And just like the 12, a big challenge to design, really to squeeze everything down and keep all the same performance parameters. We're talking still has over 2 inches of peak-to-peak excursion, still has 20 millimeters of linear X-Max, still has 750 watts RMS power handling. Everything is a completely new part. The only thing they share in common is the terminals. Actually, the motor is different. Obviously, it's a little bit smaller to fit in here. It's a 4.5-inch voice coil instead of a 5-inch voice coil. Like I said, the power handling is the same, but the enclosure size is dramatically smaller. The 12 was already super small, but the 10 can actually go, and our recommended small sealed is 0.35 cubic feet, and for ported, it's a 0.6 cubic foot. Unbelievable output, maybe even more impressive for its size. There's never been a shallow 10, let alone even a regular 10 that has this kind of output in such a small enclosure.
So a couple of things I want to point out here, Jay. I can't tell you how impressive the design. I mean, the way it looks, let's just talk about the aesthetics. It looks so robust with the way the frame, the chassis, the basket's done. And then I want you to talk a little bit about the two things. First, I want to talk about the design of the cone material, and the surround. Was there anything special you had to do there as far as consideration?
Yeah, this is a really unique cone, and because these play in such incredibly small boxes, they had to be really strong. So there's actually a whole support structure underneath the force transfer assembly that connects the voice coil to the cone, and the cone is actually a honeycomb Nomex with glass fiber lamination on both sides. So it's incredibly rigid, but also very light. And because the voice coil is huge, so that weighs a decent amount, but we also have a huge motor to push that. So we can power through those small enclosures with awesome linearity. I mean, 20 millimeter linear X-Max is, that's high performance. Normal subwoofer 3 times as deep, but we're doing it. And actually the 10 is 2 7/8 deep, exactly. 1/8 shallower than the 12, but all the same performance.
I love watching that thing go. Just seeing it move is kind of mind-blowing. But
yeah.
One thing I want our audience to know, you reference the new enclosure sizes for both sealed and port. What about power? What kind of power would you say, or would you recommend for the new 10?
Well, they're great, anywhere from 250 all the way to 750 rated RMS. If you go to a super small enclosure, like I said, 0.35 is what we recommend. It's got a sweet spot Q, about a 0.8 QTC. You can go smaller. You can go as small as 0.2, 0.25, but you're going to need some more power when you go that low. And you will lose a tiny little bit of bottom end, but a 0.35 is kind of like the Goldilocks. You can go a little bit bigger for a little bit more efficiency, but I'd recommend, at least 500 watts if you're going to go in that smaller enclosure, but our recommended amplifier is 750 watts for it.
Right. That's a really nice sweet spot. All right. thinPRO 10. Awesome addition to accompany the thinPRO 12. Now you have options in the subwoofer category. I want to switch over now to some of the new multi-channel amplifiers. There's 2 that we're talking about today, one in the 700.4 model and the other in the 1000.5. Now, I do want you to spend a little bit of time talking about some of the unique features, obviously, that Wavetech brings to the table when it comes to amplifiers. But talk to us about these 2 new models from Wavetech.
Yeah, Ben. So we've continued to expand our amplifier lineup. We started with the minis, and now the plus. And the plus was necessary because to fit all the kind of controls that we have on these amplifiers, we had to go just 1 inch wider. But it's still a really tiny amplifier. So they're called the plus. That's the Link 1000.5 plus and the Link 700.4 plus. There's been powerful 4 channels and 5 channels before, but what we do differently, number one, is our preamp stage, which is our full OEM integration preamp stage. Also with our high performance line driver capability built into the front end. And then we added just a ton of crossover capability. This 700.4 probably has the most flexible analog crossover ever made in a single amplifier. The 5 channel is virtually identical. The main difference between them, obviously, is the 5 channel has a powered subwoofer channel, whereas the 4 channel has line driver pre-outs to drive whatever mono amplifier you want. But all of our amplifiers have some really unique combination of technologies, and some just totally exclusive, such as our automatic turn on, simultaneous DC offset, and audio detects. You're guaranteed to get a trigger without having to find a wire. They're all stop start ready. They all have thermal rollback, so if they get too hot, they'll roll back the power. And they all have built-in adaptive loading, which allows them to work with virtually any vehicle on the road without adding external resistor networks and stuff like that. So, and still control the signal, the Class D signal in some cases from factory amplifiers. But talk about power. So the 1000.5 just packs a ton of power in a super small chassis. It's actually identical to our 500.4, which is a 125x4, and our 500.1, which is 500 mono, combined, but in a 30% smaller chassis, plus a lot more crossover and summing capability. It's actually a 6-channel summing processor as well. The 4-channel is actually 175 watts by 4, just an extremely powerful amplifier. So it's going to get used in larger systems for a lot of flexibility reasons. If you're going full active, it's got full band pass capability. It's got independent high pass and low pass, so you can do acoustic underlap to get the ideal frequency response. But since it's so powerful, it also has something that's never done before, as far as I know. It has our full base freak processor built into it that can be applied to channel 3/4 if you're using it as a 3-channel amplifier. So that's 175x2 and 300x1. That's a pretty powerful 3-channel system. Or you can assign that base freak processor, which has a full parametric EQ, 24 dB per octave subsonic and low pass. You can assign that to the line driver pre-out and send that to any amplifier and give a real upgrade to any amplifier out there, because there's virtually no amplifiers that have this combination of the base freak processor either.
One thing I love about the story of the Wavetech amplifiers, Jay, is that you already had the integration side of things figured out. You just needed to figure out how to add power under the same chassis. So that's something cool to point out. The other thing I wanted to point out was that last point that you made with the base freak processor. If you think about it from let's say we're a store, right? And you're trying to inventory all these type of tools that you need to get sound going into different vehicles. You need a base processor. You need a active line LOC. Then you got to look at the power and the amp. Man, Wavetech has figured that all out. From an inventory standpoint, you get one of these 4 channels in there, you can pretty much, like you said, 2-channel, 3-channel, 4-channel, do whatever you want. And I think that's a big plus.
Yeah, it sure saves a heck of a lot of installation time and cost, because all that stuff is just already built in here. It's just really optimized the installation. It saves time, money, and space. And it works with any vehicle out there. So, and that was what we took pride in our original lineup, that we eventually, in our LOCs, we eventually got down to 6 different models that cover over 95% of the vehicles on the road today. These amplifiers are the same thing, with a built-in adaptive loading. I mean, you don't have to worry about it not working in a late model Chrysler anymore. It's already there. It's going to turn on for you. It's
whatever the vehicle, whatever the load, it adapts to it. Plug it in. Love it.
Exactly.
Absolutely love it. It's almost as if the engineer behind this thought about all these problems.
Yeah, it's a challenge to think of everything, and I won't say that I've been able to think of absolutely everything, but I sure tried to. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely,
absolutely.
and that absolutely shows. All right, so those are the multi-channel amplifier additions to the lineup. The last point in our conversation today, of course, we have some mono amplifiers. So we're talking about obviously single channel amplifiers built for subwoofers in both the 750.1 and the 1500.1. So take a second for us and break down these two new amplifiers.
Yes, when it comes to the new mono amplifiers, we introduced two new monos this year. The first one was the 1500.1 plus, the Link 1500.1 plus. Has all the same features as all our previous monos, the full base freak processor, the full OEM integration capability, 40 volts of input, and all that. But one thing that they both have that's really unique is this dual voltage rail power supply that allows you to match and optimize a 1 ohm load or a 2 ohm load with ultimate efficiency. So this amplifier will produce, this 1500.1 produces over 1500 watts RMS into 2 ohm or 1 ohm. Same goes for the 750.1. And one of the main reasons we came out with these is to give the optimum ideal full rated power to the thinPRO subwoofers, the 12 and now the 10. So the 1500.1 is ideal for 2 of them, and the 750.1 is ideal for 1. These are very underrated amplifiers. I mean, the 1500.1 does well over 1800 watts. Like all of our amplifiers, they're underrated by anywhere from 15 to even 40% in the case of some of our small 4 channels. So they give you real good bang for the buck, and they have that thermal rollback. So if you're beating on them a little bit too hard, they'll roll back the power a little bit until they cool down and just keep on playing. These amplifiers give you everything you need for the ultimate bass system.
All right, Jay. So we took the time to walk us through the brand new introduction of the thinPRO 10 sub. We also talked about some multi-channel amps, some really unique features, as well as the mono amps that you just talked about there. I mean, this is rounding out to be a really robust catalog coming from Wavetech. So I want you're here. I'm going to take the opportunity to ask you the question: what's next?
Well, we've got a number of things cooking. Obviously, the 10 is coming out, really soon, and there's of course more amplifiers. There's going to be some huge updates and some processor on the integration side, and more to come. Our roadmap is, we're a small company, so we bob and weave. We do stuff pretty quick, but we have to plan out a long way ahead also. And there's some core stuff that we've been wanting to do for a long time, and I think you'll be amazed on what we're able to achieve.
I want to take this opportunity and thank Jason Kemmerer for joining us on today's show. Now, if you're interested to find out more details, whether it's specs, enclosure sizes, power ratings, or whatnot, make sure you head on over to the official Wavetech website. We'll put the link right here on the screen, and find out for yourself if any of these products might just be the right fit for you. Now, for me, I can't tell you how impressed I am with this company. This company, like Jay says, knows how to pivot, knows how to get the problems solved that our installers are facing on a daily level. All these little technologies, adapters, auto loadings, whatever you can think of, it seems like these guys have already thought of it. So if you're going to inventory an amplifier, for example, think about that for a second. This one 4-channel amplifier, I'll use that as an example, literally solves every single vehicle or close to that comes into your bay without having to go to a multi-chassis solution. Everything is built in. If you want to add a subwoofer, they even thought of that and put in a bass feature onto the output to add any mono amplifier, if not a Wavetech one. And if you're thinking about, having a solution when you want big bass and you don't have the space, well, you'll be hard pressed to find something more innovative and more impressive than that thinPRO sub from Wavetech. That's it for this CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.